Hello.
See a lot of hurt. I see a dying world, and it's been longing for, searching for a cure.
Hi, good day. My name is Alisha Romano. I am 38 years of age. I have one biological daughter. She's 15 years old. I went to Bishop Anstey High School as my secondary school. I did fifth form and sixth form. After that, I went on to the University of the West Indies, where I started to do a degree in computer science and a minor in chemistry. 1 year later, I was awarded a scholarship to Pace University, where I continued my degree in computer science. However, in my final year, I was forced to come back to Trinidad to assist with my mother, who became very ill. And due to that, I opted to stay in Trinidad and not complete my degree to help with her. And I have done that ever since. But thank God she's much better now. And through being in Trinidad, I opted to start a business with some friends of mine. And that was what I've been doing for the last 13 years. So I'm a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, and I'm also continuing my education in accounting. So I'm presently doing my ACCA. It's been quite exciting and a lot of hard work, but hard work pays off. So that's what I'm doing presently. Hobbies. I have no active hobbies because I am very busy, but I love playing lawn tennis and table tennis. I love going to the movies, but as I said, I don't really find much time to do that, but I should make some more time. My favorite film is Breakfast at Tiffany's, for your young people who have never heard of it. It's a very old movie, made in 1961. It goes to show that I'm a hopeless romantic. So it's a lovely movie. You should go and look it up on Netflix and have a look at it. It's an excellent movie. Honestly, I like reggae, but my daughter says I'm too old to like reggae. So I would say I like alternative music and classical music, but I have a heart for Sean Paul is my favorite artist. So I'm a Sean Paul fan. I'm a Christian primarily, so my favorite quote comes from the Bible. It's Romans 8:28. It states that all things happen together for good to them that love the Lord. I love that because it makes us know that we aren't alone, especially when in times when things don't seem to go the way that we want. It's comforting to know that there is a being, a God, that is above us and in control of us. So it's quite comforting, and that's my favorite quote. I always knew I was going to. I remember even after fifth form, a very good friend of mine who actually lives, I believe she lives in Oman now, she bought me a book of female politicians. And when I got involved last year, I went back and I dug up for the book, and I remembered, wow, it's been a long time that I was interested in this. I always knew that I wanted to give back to society in some way. I have a very strong personality, so that's one good use of my strong personality. Last year, I had the privilege of assisting a local government candidate with his campaign. And while I was doing that as a volunteer, I realized that this really was something that I was called to do, and an avenue in which I could really fulfill my purpose, which is to give back to society and help young people and help people on a whole. So I opted to do that through the avenue of politics. Even though I am a third or fourth generation PNM child, because my great grandfather was PNM, my grandmother was very much PNM. I mean, in the days of Kamaluddin, Muhammad, etc. I would not say that I'm a diehard PNM. I sat back and I in 2007, when we had the many different options in terms of parties, I remember one of my family members saying that they're voting for one particular party, which was not PNM. And I looked at it and I said, you know what, I like what they're seeming to stand for, and I will vote for them in 2010 if they're still around. So time showed that they did not quite stand on its own, and that is something that when I decided, I'm going to get involved, and I looked around to see which party that I would truly feel most comfortable with, or a party that I could truly relate to. The PNM was the only choice. My greatest desire in life, I believe, is equality amongst people, and the PNM really, really supports that. I believe that they create equal opportunity, and that is not handing out goodies to everyone. It is allowing every citizen of this country to have an equal opportunity to succeed. Once you work hard, you will receive your rewards duly. That's a long story. After working in the local government, I was excited. I mean, believe it or not, we walked every afternoon. So I would leave work, and I'm a business owner, so that is a lot of stress on my part. And I would go home and I'll be tired, and I would somehow look forward to going and meeting the people on the street, to the point where some of the residents were asking if I was the candidate. First, I was so excited, And as I continued along the campaign trail, there was a gentleman that works for the party, and he looked at me and he said, Alisha, this is really what you're supposed to be doing, And I just laughed and I said, no, I'm a volunteer. I'm just here to lend assistance. Well, general elections came along, and I'm hearing about screening and party groups forming and constituency executives, and they decided to form a party group in my area. So they asked me to be the secretary, and I said, of course, we have elections. I said, of course, I'll volunteer, no problem. And I was elected as secretary. Then the same gentleman who I had met last year or year before in 2013, he called me and said, Alisha, you have to go and volunteer yourself to be the candidate. And I laughed and I said, definitely not. I said, I'm not ready for that. I said, I'll do it, but in 5 years' time. I said, let me get a little more experience. I'm young. People are not going to take me seriously. I said, I don't have my degree. What are they going to say? I'm uneducated. He said, but you're studying now? I said, yes, but people would think. I said, no, not this time. He called me back. And he called me back again. I said, you know what, for you, I'll go up. Because in the back of my mind, they're not going to choose me, but I'll go up for his sake, benefit of the doubt. We went for screening in the constituency, and there were 2 other persons. After that screening, they decided they're not going to choose one person to send to Policy House. They will choose all 3. I was like, wow. All right, no problem. Definitely at Policy House. They're going to ignore me, but I dressed up. I was so excited. I said, great. But in the back of my mind, I'm telling you, I never thought that I would have been selected. The night of screening, there were 3 other constituencies that were going through screening, and we were the last people, the last constituency. And the first 2 constituencies, they sent back all the candidates. So I was like, oh my goodness. But I was the 3rd person out of these 3 of us to get screened. The first 2 persons, 15 minutes each of them took in front of the screening committee. When I went in, I was very, very nervous. But when you don't expect anything, you go in there. I made them laugh. 6 minutes, and I was out of there. When I walked down the stairs, my mom, who was waiting downstairs for me, said, you finished already? I'm like, yeah. I said, when you're interviewing people, I've interviewed many persons for jobs. I said, when someone walks in and they're not fit for the job, you don't take long with the interviewer. So I said, there's 6 minutes, and they dismissed me. And we're laughing, and I'm ready to go home. She said, no, you have to wait till you get the results. I said, well, yeah, but we know what the results are anyway. I said, but anyway, it was a lovely experience, and I really look forward to 5 years from now. And we waited. Lo and behold, they came downstairs and they were like, Romano, Romano, Romano. I looked up and I said, why are you calling my name like that? He said, you won them over, girl. Unanimous votes. They all chose you. And I was so shocked. As a business person, we work hard. If you don't get up and go to work, you're not going to get paid. It's a reality of the situation. And as an MP, you have to work very hard. it's like you're a parent, you're a father of many children. Each resident of your constituency is your child, and imagine they all want something at the same time. You need to learn to properly manage your time. You need to learn to manage your finances, budget things. And that is definitely something that you have to master owning your own business. Because if you make a mistake in business, there's no boss that's going to come and clean up your mess. You pay the cake for it. Well, I don't believe that is going to be much of an issue for me. I said it earlier, I'm a Christian first, and I believe that anything that I want, God will provide. It just happened. I'm 38 years old and I've lived by those principles ever since. So if I want a big car and I want a very big house, I know where to get it. I work hard, the Lord provides it. I don't need anybody to come. And I hate favors for favors. I work hard and I pay for everything. That is a principle that I've always lived by. So I don't think I'm going to change now. So if someone comes with an offer, that's not going to faze me. Not for me, but I can see it could be for someone who's not really a people's person, because you really have to like people to go out there every day and face these people, and everybody has a story and everybody wants to be heard, and you can't cut anybody short. I mean, trust me, the time is of the essence. The campaign team is saying, Alisha, you're taking too long with these people, and you have to balance that with meeting the people. I love people. I like to remember their stories. I would go to one place, 3 weeks later, I'm going back. And I'm like, how are you feeling? You had chikungunya the other day. Remember when I passed? And this old lady, she's like, sweetheart, you remember that? I'm like, of course, that's what I'm here for. She says, you know what, nobody really cares out there. I said, well, okay, but I have to care, right? And she's like, well, thank you for asking. People just need to know that you care. And it could be exhausting, but you really have to like it. It's exciting to me. It really, really is. It's not something that you can put on because you will get tired. It's something that really you have to love. All right. In our generation, we have advanced tremendously along the lines of technology. I believe that we need to utilize those advancements in the positive aspects of it to help society on a whole. We can utilize technology for negative things, but we need to really capture how we can utilize the technology that has advanced so much in our generation for the good of mankind. There are too many poor people out there, and there's too much money passing around. No one needs to be that poor. And I believe that the technology of today can really advance that. And I believe it is the duty of our generation to do so. And also, I believe we're at a critical time, a turning time, where the values of old that our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents grew up under is slowly diminishing, and society is changing. And I believe our generation can change that. I believe if we don't get up and change that, it will reach a point where it'll reach a point of no return. And I believe that it is our responsibility now. And that's why I believe that so many young candidates for this election have been chosen, because we are the future. And I'm honored to be one of them. The loss of family values. I believe that in times of old, many young people had not only their mother and father raising them, but they were raised with their grandparents, their aunts, their uncles. Everybody got involved in the raising of a child. And I believe now that does not really exist anymore. There are many single parents by choice. Things happen, and I definitely can relate to that because I'm a single parent. However, I see the value in a family raising a child, and I believe that when children do not have that sort of support, that they tend to look for that support in other avenues. And we have so many options these days for that support in terms of gangs, friends leading you astray. I mean, if children are raising children, your friends are raising you, and really, you can't blame children if they go astray, because your friend has no more experience and no more advice to give you than you can give them. I would love Trinidad and Tobago to really be a society where we have less division. I was never someone that lamented on the racial dividing lines, but we hear about it more and more every day, and that is something that saddens me tremendously. So I would really like Trinidad and Tobago to be the society that can truly be an example to the world, having many different cultures, races amongst our own, living in harmony, and that would be truly my vision for Trinidad and Tobago. I believe that going into business, working for yourself, is a great asset. I believe, however, society makes it very difficult to do so. You know, the old saying, money makes money, it tends to be true. However, former governments did create an opportunity through the Small Business Development Bank that empowered small business people to get loans to start a business, and actually that is how we started. It has since been, it no longer exists, let's just put it that way, unfortunately, but definitely that was a great advantage at the time, and I encourage all persons to get into some sort of business. Even if you have a job working for someone else, you can do something at the side, because it teaches you discipline, which is something that I value. Sometimes when you work for someone else, you really do not have the discipline to understand what it takes to really earn that dollar, you know. And as a business owner, trust me, my employees, sometimes I sit them down and I tell them, even though you're working for me, think about it as if you're working for yourself. Because if you don't come to work on time and you don't do your job, I lose money. And if I lose money, then I can't keep you employed. So you're working for yourself. Think of it that way. And I believe, for example, my daughter in Form 4 went through a program, I believe it's called the JA program, and they created a business together and they sold things. It was excellent. The number of children that benefited from that, I know definitely she was in charge of finance, and she had it down packed. I mean, budgeting money, and it was excellent. And I believe that every person should strive at some point in their life to try and become an entrepreneur in some issue, even if it's selling soft drinks, selling pencils, anything. It teaches you discipline. I think it's primarily democratic. I lead by example. There's nothing that I would ask any of my employees to do, or anyone that's working under me, that I'm not willing to do myself. If it entails us doing A, you know, I try to get everybody's input. I would have one way of doing something, and they will come and they will say, Ms. Romano, but I don't want to do it this way, you know, I want to do it that way. And I'm like, you know what? If it's not something that is going to cost me too much money if it fails, because we need to be practical, I would say, you know what? You can try it your way. I just want it done properly and in the same time frame. You go ahead. And you know what? You learn a lot from people, because no one knows it all and no one is perfect. So I have learned a lot from those that I lead, and I believe that makes me a better person, and it gives them a sense of pride that, you know what, boss said to do it A, I did it B, and it worked out well. It does, and it means a lot to me. I always tell my employees, you know, when you leave here, you have to be leaving for something better. Don't let me hear 2 months down the road that you're home. That's nonsense. You know, so I have a lot of young people passing through this business, and most of them leave better off, go to better jobs, and I feel very accomplished at that. I should put it this way. When we started this business with $5,000. We started off, it's a chemical manufacturing company. We manufacture household and industrial cleaning chemicals. We'd get up at 4:30 every morning, dress, head down to Port of Spain and Chaguaramas to look for business. Leave there by 2 p.m. Head back up to Arima. Mix whatever chemicals need to be mixed in the backyard. Bottle it. Get up 4 o'clock the next morning. Pack it in a Honda Civic that we started off with in the back seat. Drop the seat down, trunk is filled, deliver that, and then go out to look for new business. And we did that for months. So it's very challenging. I remember when our business grew to customers actually buying drums, 55-gallon drums. They weigh a lot. We couldn't carry that in the back seat anymore. So we had to hire a van. A man is charging you $200 to deliver to a place that's 15 minutes away, but you don't have a vehicle, you don't have a choice. But guess what? Even if you're not making much profit, at least you're securing the customer and you're saving your profit so that in 6 months' time, you buy our own van. I remember us buying our first van. It's an old Mazda. And guess what? I drove it. It's a manual. I can drive manual. I can drive a 3-ton. I can drive a 1.5 ton. It's not by choice. But when you own your own business, you have to do what you have to do at times. So there are many challenges. But with challenges, when you overcome, you reap your rewards. Definitely. Especially when you put out with employees and you give them your heart and you think they're definitely going to stay, and you teach them how to do this, and you really train them well, and you think, okay, finally I can relax a bit. I don't need to do that anymore. And they get up and they leave. No warning, no anything. You feel like, oh my gosh, like someone stabbed you in your heart. But you have to understand that that's life, and you get up and you move on. That is the discipline I was speaking about. That with every person owning their own business, the perseverance, the hard work, you have no choice but to do what you have to do, because no one's going to do it for you. If you're working for someone else and you stay home that day, the person next to you might be given you a task to do, and the business is going to go on, and you are not going to lose any sleep off of it. As a business owner, you can't do that. So even though you may feel down, you may feel like giving up, you can't, because there's no one next to you going to do your job, and there are times like that, but they're equally or more so actually rewarding times. So overall, definitely there is nothing better than working for yourself. Proudest moment so far, in the process of acquiring the factory in which we now are at. It was a fight. It still is a fight, actually. I used to pass here every day because we were renting at another location in the industrial estate, and I used to look at this factory and I'm like, one day I'm going to own that, one day. And then lo and behold, it came up for sale. I said, okay, we heard about what the price was and said, hey, we could really make that happen. We went into a meeting. Trust me, the price was almost 4 times what we heard it was. So that was very devastating. And I said, but it was worth a try, and I left. A few months later, the owners called and said, you're still interested? Definitely. I said, great, we'll accept your offer. And that was the greatest moment. We went to the bank, we got everything organized, the sales agreement, and I felt accomplished to go from a renter to an owner and to see the business grow. Because being in an industrial estate for our sector of business, you can, the type of clients that you can get increases. So even though there are still some challenges with respect to that right now, it was a great moment of accomplishment. I'm learning to have more patience. I've been told on many occasions that I don't have much patience. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, I must admit. So I'm trying to have more patience, which I think I have mastered, but tolerance is a bit more difficult. I talk to a lot of my employees. I try to explain to them why things need to be done in a particular way sometimes. And some of them understand, and some of them you can see that they just really don't care. It's just about a job for them. It's just about a salary at the end of the fortnight. And I need to have a little more tolerance and understanding that if they were never taught the value of working hard, then I really can't expect much more from them. So I approach them differently. I try to teach them the value of it and teach them why they need to, give their best at everything they do. Whatever you do, even if it is putting on a label on a bottle, it's a reflection of who you are. If you put on 5 twisted labels, that reflects very badly on you. you know. That means you don't really care, you're very laissez-faire. And you know, so I try to build pride within them. So tolerance, I think, is my greatest. But I'm getting there. The current crime situation is terrible. Everybody knows that. The murders they can't be tolerated. And not only the murders, the everyday crime. I believe that that is something that every government will try and fight. I don't believe that any government will have all of the answers. Definitely, I think that we need to increase the level of technology that we utilize at the moment to fight crime. There's so many CSI shows on the television. They may be fictional, but there is some basis to it in terms of forensic science, etc. We need to utilize that, you know, greater in Trinidad and Tobago, and I believe that that would definitely put a dent in the crime, because when the criminals have more concern of being caught, then of course that will deter them. So crime is definitely something that every government will have their challenges with. Well, definitely, as I said, the forensic science, definitely shortening the court system right now. The time from when you're arrested to when you're in trial, that is ridiculous. So if they have to increase the number of courts and increase the number of judges, magistrates, etc., that's definitely something that can be done. And also go back to basic family values. You know, prevention is better than cure. We tend to look at how can we cure the crime situation. You know, let's prevent it by teaching values. You shouldn't steal, you shouldn't lie, you should honor your parents, you need to work hard. You know, nothing in life is free. I believe that if we focus on that, then we will not reach to the point of having such a high crime rate. So those are some of the other things. I definitely agree with that. That it needs to be dealt with more seriously. As to its prevalence, I believe it has always existed. I believe that it's more so now because of, as we were saying before, the level of technology within society has increased. So it's easier, I believe, now to commit white-collar crime. But equally, it should be just as easy to be caught and therefore to be prosecuted. So we can't use the technology to advance ourselves negatively. We need to use it to also advance ourselves positively. So it's a matter of people who could not doing, you know, and that's where young people come in. Trust me, no one knows the technology better than this generation. So let's get on board. I say the same thing I say to many, because many young people do not vote. I say get involved. Many people come and tell me politics is not for them. Well, guess what? It is. Whether or not you make a vote, your action not to vote is in fact an inactive vote. And we need to understand this. And even if you choose not to get involved in politics, politics gets involved with you. For example, a man tells me the other day, ma'am, whether or not government come, government go, I still had to work hard, you know. I still had to earn money to buy bread. I said, yeah, that's true. And guess what? No government will ever come into power that will enable you not to work. Sorry, you'll always have to work hard. However, when you work hard and you work for that dollar, how far that dollar goes, how much you can buy with that dollar is affected by the government of the day. So don't leave that decision up to someone else who's voting. Get involved. You decide who governs you. You decide what government is put in power that will help you or hinder you from earning the benefits of that hard-earned dollar that you just worked hard for. So get involved.